This is your free training for passive income. So, what is passive income and why is it important? Well, passive income is the idea that you can create something, a product or a service that can be scaled without you needing to be there. So, essentially, like moving away from our selling our tuition one-to-one or into small groups and actually creating something that can stand by itself somewhere or be accessed on its own that you can sell over and over and over again. So it sounds pretty decent, right? You don't have to be there to actually make the money. That's the passive part. I mean, there is a downside to it, which we'll explore in a second. But if you can get it to work, it does essentially mean you can leverage back quite a lot of time into your life, right? So if you could make an extra £1,000 a month without actually having to work the hours you would usually have to work to make £1,000, that's win for everybody, isn't it? But there is a drawback because passive income doesn't just happen by itself. You have to put in quite a lot of effort up front. You do a lot of building in what I call the front end of your business, and you don't actually know whether it's going to be successful or not. So sometimes you're going to be able to look back and reflect and go, oh, I've spent all this time trying to make this passive income work and it hasn't, and now I've got to start again. However, each time you try again, you can take that previous experience and use it. And so it's not like you're ever really starting from scratch. What I will say is, though, passive income is not a magic wand. It's not easy. And for us tutors, I think I'm going to give you some ideas as well to make this more plausible for you and give you a couple of pointers on how it can work and also how it shouldn't work as well. But for most of us, the easiest way to start would be writing some sort of an ebook. Now, to actually make a decent amount of money selling an ebook, I would say your audience needs to be very big, like just extremely large, because it also should, what we want to try and aim for with passive income is for it to not just be passive for 1 month and be great, we did it. It needs to be passive for this month and a few months after, and hopefully forevermore, because that's the whole point. Let's create passive income on a recurring model. So where do we start? I think ebooks are great. However, I don't believe that's going to create that recurring income model that we want or need. However, it's a good place to start. And actually, you could get paid for advertising. And I want to explain that to you a little bit more, in terms of the customer journey and how it can work with your ebooks. If they're quite popular, you're going to get your ideal clients reading them. But where do you want to take them after the ebook? So if they're going to pay you for that, and then when they've got your ebook, you can advertise in there to them for the next step, the next logical place for them to go with you, then that's like they're paying you so you can advertise to them. Not only are you giving them a piece of value that will hopefully improve their lives and their children's lives, you can then say, well, I can take it one step further. If you like this, this is the next step. And it's usually high cost, a bit more high risk as well. But ebooks in particular are hard to protect, right? So it's not as easy as saying, well, I'll create an ebook. What do I do with that ebook? Where do I put it? How do I get it from my screen onto someone else's? How do I take their money? Because it all sounds like a lot of work. And to be honest, it is. Because let's say you don't have anything automated, someone need to contact you and say, oh yeah, I really like your ebook. Can I have a copy? You'd email back saying, yeah, sure. And then you'd have to send them an invoice, or create and send them an invoice. Then you'd have to wait for them to pay it. And then once they've paid, you could then send them the ebooks. There's quite a lot of steps to that. And that doesn't sound truly passive. What we want to do is create an online payment gateway where someone says, oh, I like the look of this ebook. They click the link, that takes them to a payment page. And after they press pay and their payment's gone through, then they get an email automatically sent out to them with the download button. Now that is truly passive, because if you set that up at the start like that, or automated, now you could potentially get 20 people buy from you overnight. You don't have to do anything at all. The money's landed in your account and everybody's got what you promised they would get, which is the downloadable click, and they've got their ebook. That's passive income. It's not easy. to get your head around at first. Like perhaps you don't know how to do a payment gateway. Perhaps you don't even know, perhaps you've got an idea for an ebook right now, but you don't quite know how to design it and get it out there. I will go through that stuff a little bit later on in a few minutes' time. But hopefully that gives you an idea that even though we can set things up and it looks passive, unless we automate at least a part of that journey, it's going to feel like we're still working hard for that cash. And remember, ebooks don't actually earn a lot because you can't, they're very low cost, low risk, which is what makes them quite a good way for somebody to start working with you. Like work with me and it only costs you £3, download my ebook. So look, there's potential to sell quite a large volume. It is there. However, if you are having to do quite a lot of that work manually, then suddenly it feels like you're working quite hard for not a lot of money coming back your way into the business. So why is passive income important? Well, we've already spoke a little bit. It's like being able to leverage some time back into your business so that you don't have to work in your business as much to keep it going. I want to give you an example for one of my targets for this year, which is to try to get the passive income up to about £1,000. I'd like to get it somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000, because what that would mean to me in my business is that I no longer have to put those hours in to make that £1,000. And those hours that I save, I can use to develop the business further, rather than just work on inside my business, perhaps tutoring small groups or one-to-ones. I could be using that time to develop other resources or other business type models that I could then try to use in my business to create more income. I can't do that if all of my working hours are taken up trying to keep the lights on at home, pay all the bills, do all those things that we want to do as a business, the kind of even put money away, like go on holiday, all those kind of things. So can I get to £1,000 a month recurring or close to? Can I get to £1,000 to £2,000, which would be the window that I'm aiming for? That's not going to be easy. It's quite a lot of money. So I'm going to have to create something that could get there, because how many books at £4 would I need to sell every month? That's not realistic. So when you're creating your passive income projects, it is quite good to set yourself a target, because that can determine then like your next step. So if you're saying, well, do you know what, actually this year, if I could make £1,000 in passive income across the whole year, that would be quite a win. I've never done it before. And so it would mean me spending more time trying to make it happen. It's worthwhile if I can get to £1,000. If that's you, ebooks are the best place to start, but it doesn't have to be the only thing that you try. So you might do something like a small course or some email tutoring, which we're going to go into in a sec. But give yourself a target to aim for and then work back from that target. So my target in my head is about £1,500 a month. I know that I know how I'd like to do that. And so I'm creating things now that may or may not work. I don't know yet. But however, even if, say, I don't use it or it doesn't work for passive income, I'm going to be left with quite a lot of resources that I could then potentially use in other ways. So for example, most of you know I teach the Kent test, which is 11 plus, entry to grammar school when they go to year 7. So I've got lots of small videos and an online course that potentially parents could sign in and use to support their child going to grammar school. It's all pre-recorded. There's lots of lessons and other materials included in that. But essentially, it's start to finish, full coverage of everything. And because I know that I can sell that over and over and over again, that's what we call scale it up, because I don't need to be there, the pricing of it, there's more flexibility. I don't need to charge what I charge as a one-to-one or for small groups. I can lower the cost, which widens the net a little bit. And there is an element of, if you make it too, not too expensive or too cheap, that it will be seen as a cheap thing. So you do have to be careful with your pricing, but essentially it opens up the market. Someone comes to me and says, oh, look, Mr. C, I've got a child, should be going to grammar school, but I can't afford one-to-one tutoring, and even your small groups, I don't think I'm going to be able to stretch to it. I can say, but I can help you. Look, have a look at what I've got online. It takes you through the same lessons and the same routines that I would do in a one-to-one session or in my group sessions, but they're in really small chunks. You can watch the videos if you want, but it will guide you through. You could probably, if they're a grammar school child, they'll probably be able to do it without even the videos. There's enough on there for them to get through it. But however, if they get stuck, they can go and use it. They can go and use that video to support them. But I do, and I can use these videos in other ways as well, even selling my one-to-one and my small group packages, because I can rebundle it up in a different way. I'm not selling it as a course anymore. I'm just using those videos or repurposing them as revision videos. So it just is something else to add into my main tutoring as well. So just scaling up, really. I mean, having something there that you can just, that parents can access at any time and then scale up for you is amazing, because you don't have to do the work. As long as all the payment stuff and how they access it is manually or on them, you can go to bed at night knowing that all of this stuff is accessible without you having to be there. I think what we need to do is just quickly recap on what it means to sell to somebody. And this is very basic, but for now, this is where we need to start, is before anybody buys from you, they need to know about you. And this is where your marketing comes in. How is someone going to find you? What are you putting out there where someone could attach, oh yeah, that person's doing this thing and I really need it. And then they need to like you, because we don't actually buy from anybody that we don't like. When was the last time you bought from a company but you didn't like the company? When was the last time you bought from a person that you didn't like? You know, my nan and granddad used to run a market stall. So I grew up going around the markets in my local area because that's where they were. We used to follow them around, go and see them at weekends or sometimes in the evenings during the weekdays. And it was the same market, basically the same market going to different places. I'm sure you remember. I know that like they don't exist now. But there were people, I mean, because humans are humans, right? No one gets on with everybody. But there were people that my mum grew up with who they'd had like little fallings out. So we wouldn't go to their market store when we was looking around, right? The real world is like this. We don't buy from people we don't like. So you've got to take people through a journey. They got to know about you first. Then they need to like what you do and what you offer. But essentially, they just need to like you. And then they need to trust you. And the trust is much harder. Now, once they've gone through all three stages, they're far more likely to buy from you, but it's still not guaranteed, because someone can trust you for a long time before they even, you know, press the buy button. So we've got to think about their journey, which is where I think ebooks can come into play. Ebooks are relatively quick to make as long as you've got the right software. They're relatively easy as well to put in somewhere to link, because what you want to do is put it somewhere online so you can create a link for it so that people can download it without you having to send it to them. It's relatively easy to do for an ebook. So here's a few ideas. Okay, I'm going to share some ideas with you. This is what we're really here for. Ebooks, like create how-to guides. So right now, anybody watching this, if you're a tutor or a teacher, you're an expert in something. Have you ever written down your expertise before? And be really specific with it as well. So for example, I'm trained in Key Stage 2 as a Year 6 teacher for a few years, Year 5, but I also spent quite a lot of time in Key Stage 1. So reading and phonics, I come back to that a lot because that's a super important skill. If you can share your passion around reading and your skill around reading and share that with a parent, and help a parent support their child to become a strong reader at a young age, but there isn't a parent alive who wouldn't want to do that for their child. So writing down why it's important, almost like a crib sheet for why is it so important for you to read to your child? Why is it so important for your child to be turning pages in a book? Why is it so important for your child to be learning phonics? Or why is it so, if phonics doesn't work, why is it so important for them to try the next skill or the next like type of practice for them to read? Then you could take them through how phonics works, right? So in the UK, we do sort of phase 1 to phase 5. I know it can differ depending on what scheme you use in your school, what you're an expert at, but then, no, that's up to you. But just write it down. Give them a strategy to follow. You could put extra resources in there. You might even link them to other YouTube clips that are helpful. If you are super sensible at this point, at the end of your ebook, you'd have a sales page that said something like this. Hey, amazing that you've bought the book, and I really hope it helps. Well done. You've really set yourself up to be able to support your child to read. What's next? I can support you by, and then you're selling your next bit. What would it be? There's an online course. It lasts 6 weeks. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how you can support your child in phase one. I'm going to show you how I can support your child in phase two. Hey, if you're good at that, there's another course that follows. It's phase three and phase four. And if you're good, and if you really like that, there's another course in phase five. You can see how I'm splitting it out, but I'm using this ebook. So it's actually doing a little bit of the marketing for you to your ideal client. They are now paying you for you to advertise your more expensive courses. Because at this point, if they've liked what they've read, they already know about you. Now they like you. They've already shown a little bit of trust because they've given you a few quid. Now, if they like and trust you, what you put on the page and it works, they're more likely to click that link and then find your next course, which could be, again, be semi-passive or passive, depending on how you want to set it up. But low cost, low risk is usually the way that you begin this, okay? Now, if you're not sure about how to create an ebook, while you're online, go to Canva, download it, or I don't think you have to download. I think you just create a free account that you can use online. I've downloaded it to my desktop because it's just the way that I use it. I think I prefer it actually. When I've tried both, I prefer the desktop version, but you can get it on your phone as well. So you can do, when you're out and about, you could be typing into you might be on the bus or the train. You might then be typing more into your ebook, making use of that time when you're usually playing Candy Crush. I don't even know if that's the thing. I'm not sure if that's still a thing or not. Candy Crush, let me know. But yeah, Canva's a great tool for this. And there's just free templates. So if you're not sure how to design an ebook, just type in ebook and it's going to give you some pre-made designs that you might just tweak and move things around to make it look like the way you want it to look. So ebooks, I think, are an easy way to start. They're very low risk, low cost. It feels quite comfortable to us. We're not going to be asking for loads and loads of cash. Okay, the next one I've got on the list is email tutoring. Now, this isn't new. This is something that's been going on for quite a while. This is where, again, I'll tell you what is new about this is that you can automate everything. But what lots of people will do is create weekly emails themselves and then send manually to a list. But if you could set up your own email client, so I'm talking about things like MailChimp, MailerLite, or ActiveCampaign. MailerLite is amazing for free users as well. So just give yourself an account on there. This is basically where you can, collect your customer email addresses, and then you can send it out from there. Now, what you can do is set up a whole course, like schedule it out to go, right, on a Wednesday at 6 o'clock, this is going to be sent to everybody. And in there, you can embed videos, you can give links to downloads, like for PDFs, other things that you've created. And and you can just do that, like that's it. You can record some videos, embed them in, put some supporting materials around it. You have your 6 weeks set up, scheduled to go at say 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. Anybody who's paid gets added to the list. That would be manual. And then when it's time, you press send, and then they just go out at the dates that you've decided and the times that you've put in, and you walk away from it, and it just carries itself through. So email tutoring is it's been around for a while. You can do, if you're not like really confident with like those kind of email clients, you could do, I'd say get confident, have a look at it and have a play around, because they're not too difficult. They're quite intuitive now. I think 10 years ago, they were quite tricky to sort of get in and get everything running and working. But there's lots of these emails now, just click and drag. You do your typing, put your links in, embed a video. It would mean probably creating a YouTube channel, but you can keep all your videos private. So again, you're protecting your intellectual property, and then you just embed it into your email. You can also track if people are forwarding things on. But what I tend to say is, if you're going to do something like ebooks or email tutoring, where the potential is people can just forward on your stuff, is make it in your terms and conditions that you track everything. So if they do it, they're going to get caught. And then you ask them not to, because you're a small business. You rely on people's authenticity and that they follow what you want, because it's important to your business. If the business isn't there, you can't help anybody anymore. Just reach out to their real nice side, if you like. So that's email tutoring. And then there's actually just creating and selling study materials. Again, this is quite low risk, low cost, but you can do this at a larger scale than perhaps ebooks, because it's for the children. Whereas I think ebooks, because they're targeted at the parents, you won't sell as much, maybe. And again, none of this is guaranteed anyway. But if you're selling study materials, it would be something super specific. So you wouldn't go, oh, key stage one maths, here we go, have this massive bundle of things. You'd need to really break it down into its smaller parts. So it could just be, say, a small pack on equivalent fractions. And it might just be 3 or 4 pieces of resources that you've created, so worksheets, or if you were really fancy with it, you might send out a box of goodies. That would increase the cost, but also does increase the value. So there's also that to consider as well. But if you are creating and selling study materials, that's also got a big opportunity to scale up, because you can put that behind a paywall somewhere, have all these separate payment gateways, and you can take them on a journey. So if you said, I'm going to support place value in year 1 by doing these, sending out whatever it may be, again, it might go hand in hand with some video support as well. But you could take them through, if you do that one, the next one's this one, and the next one's this one, and the next one's this one. And then you take them on a customer journey. So they're not just giving you £3 now, £4 for your resource. It's very likely they're going to be sending you £3 or £4 every couple of weeks to go to the next one and the next one and the next one, as long as it is serving a purpose and they're finding value. The very last one, which is the one that has potential to make more money because it's slightly higher cost and higher risk, is create a course. Now, I say higher risk and higher cost, but it does depend on how you want to set it up. So let's just take, I'm going to use Key Stage 2 SATs as an example, because I've been talking to a tutor about that for a while now. You could just create an online course to help them through Key Stage 2 SATs. Now, I actually collaborating with a tutor about doing some Key Stage 2 support work. And that's what she's done before. She's done some email support with embedded videos, with some resources to go along with it. And that's proved quite popular. So we're looking at a way to making it a little bit more automated, making it behind a paywall, so it protects the intellectual property a little bit more. So it just feels a little bit more contained, and the tutor stays in control of that information. And we can put it into bundles, we can set it as separate, but essentially like 2017 maths paper, 2018 maths paper, 2019 maths paper, and sending them as little bits. Now you could go even smaller than that, because you could go, well, year 6, look at the year 6 maths curriculum, look at each little block. You could create resources for each little block, create them on Canva, make them look like they're from you, brand everything up, put them on a PDF. You might attach some videos or pre-recorded videos that you've made, send them out, sell them as little packs, little bundles. And if they buy the whole lot, they get a discount, or they can do the sections that they need, and so on and so on. There are other options. So I use, for example, while I'm talking about courses and behind paywalls, I'll just say I use Teachable for all of my online content. That usually goes hand in hand with Facebook. So a lot of stuff goes onto Facebook as well. Well, you guys know this because I put stuff on Facebook, but this is a free training, so it doesn't have to go anywhere else. But if someone pays me for something, so I offer workshops and courses. When I record the session for the course, I record it live, that goes into Facebook. So everybody's in that pop-up Facebook group can access that course through Facebook. But I also put it on Teachable, because you're not allowed to put paid content or paid for content on Facebook alone. It has to be somewhere else. Facebook don't like that. They'll kick you out of Facebook, basically. So use a paywall. I use Teachable. There's also Kajabi. You could do something like Udemy as well. Now, in some cases, some of these platforms will do some of the work for you, like it will put your course in front of the right people. So they'll know so I've got a Udemy account and I've paid for a few courses on there. If I log in, they'll have like a recommended for you page. And so they'll likely know what kind of courses I want to pay for. If I put a course on there, that will happen with my course, and so on. So look, they're your options, right, for passive income. I'd love to say it was a magic wand. It's not. It does require a lot of work up front. Is it worth it? Absolutely. I think the potential for passive income is high in the tutoring world. I don't think that most of us really go to work on it soon enough or make the most of that potential. So I think there's a lot more work that we could all be doing. but it is there if we want it. And I think as well that most of us like to reach those families who can't afford tutoring. Like lots of us have those families in our mind when we create our services, but know they're never going to be able to attend because we need to make sure our business runs at a profit because it's a business and they can't afford it. This is a way to widen the net so that we can capture more people and provide more value, which is what this is all about. I'm going to leave it there because it's about the half-hour mark. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, you know where I am. Leave a question in Facebook, send me a message or an email, and I'll speak to you very soon. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.